I want to understand. We Muslims.
Bro, that's what place is, just for the angle. You can go over there. Go over there, sir. Thank you.
So, if you have a principle where it says, look after no respect, then let you all people look after them. So, this Sharia principle, you most agree with that. Or would you? So that's why Muslims are not allowed to old people's homes and not looking after their old parents themselves.
Yeah.
Would you say Islamic principle of looking after your old parents when they reach old age, you disagree or you agree?
Never once said we
I
disagree.
agree with that. That's a nice thing to do.
Fine. So now,
That's a nice thing to do. That's a nice thing to do. Yeah.
fine. So now we realize there are lots of rules and regulations. It's not necessarily with all of them you disagree.
Right. I
Good,
know.
good, good.
Yeah.
So what are those rules and regulations in Islam that you have disagreement with?
Homosexuals.
Okay.
Putting off hands.
So
It takes two testimonies of a woman.
Wait.
Is it to be
One man.
one man?
one at a time.
One at a time, exactly. It's quite
One at
right.
apostasy, homosexuals, testimony. That's the three things I've heard already so far, right? Are you a believer in God?
They're pretty
No.
bad things. No.
You know. So if God sets the rules and principles saying, okay, this is how you should live your life and govern your lives, would you follow those laws if you believed in God?
I'm not a Muslim.
If you believed in
If I
God,
was a Christian, I suppose I'd follow
we're
the
looking at
Islamic
principles now,
yeah?
principles, right? In this country, the society put some rules and regulations for everyone to follow.
Yeah.
So if that country put a regulation that anyone who becomes a rebel to this country, right? We're going to execute them. If you commit treason, we're going to execute you. You might have some disagreement with that, but they can pass a law like that easily, right? Like they have done in many, many countries, where if you become a person who commits treason against the state, like imagine now you're working in the military or in the secret services, MI6, or CIA. No. It's important.
Sharia again, I have stated so many times.
No, we are going to establish how we can understand these things, right? So when we have, for example, this military intelligence, secrets of a society, of a country, of a nation, are you allowed to disclose that to your enemy state, for example? If you did that and if the society said you will be punished either by capital punishment, execution, lethal injection, imprisonment, whatever, would you say I disagree with that? Would you?
Yeah, yes.
Well, I feel like we're in the
Right, but still, laws have been passed, like in America and various other countries, where committing treason, acts of treason, actually deserves capital punishment or severe punishment, if not capital punishment.
Treason
Yes.
in America. Right, go on then, carry on.
Yeah. Do you know what treason in America?
Carry on. What's the point? I don't
No,
know
no.
what the point is.
It's not
I
the
really
point.
don't.
The point is we need to understand why would treason be
Why are
a
we talking about treason?
because it's linked with the discussion we're having.
What was the discussion we were having? Because you seem to not know
Apostasy,
what it was.
homosexuality, and
No, it
witnesses.
It wasn't Sharia. You commandeered it to talk about Sharia.
Sorry.
Well, that's where we are now.
You
So
gave an
it's not the
example.
discussion I was
Remember,
talking about, like.
as I came along,
And now
and
you're
I wanted to
talking
know.
about- I
I wanted to know
don't-
what's the disagreement in Sharia. I gave an example about Muslims carrying their.
First of all, well, I did-
So you don't have a problem with Sharia then? There's no point discussing about any of these Sharia principles.
You can believe what you want.
That's
If you
fine.
want to do Sharia
Then-
over there.
so let's not talk about Sharia. Let's talk about existence of God, because that's the crucial point.
I don't believe in God, so why would you want to talk to me about that?
No, I want to know what's the reason for your disbelief in a creator. Is it because the lack of evidence or the evidence against the creator?
Lack of evidence.
Lack of evidence.
And science.
Fair enough.
Science. Yeah, literally
Science.
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 Key to-
Fine.
to life.
Lack of evidence
A
and
beautiful,
science.
a beautiful way that the world
It is
Sure,
a lot more
sure.
powerful than a book.
Fantastic way to
That's good. So, what kind of evidence, or what type of evidence, what type of evidence would convince you that there is a creator, there is a God?
Sorry, say it again.
What type of evidence would convince you, without a
There
shadow
is
of
no
doubt,
evidence.
that
That's
there is
why
a
I'm not a
creator?
believer.
I don't know.
He's asking what type of
I
evidence.
don't know.
Brother,
I don't know
can
what's
I
sufficient.
you
feel
just
like a lot of
record
people
rather than
believe.
comment?
I feel like
I don't know.
Right.
when people are scared,
Okay.
they
Do you
look for
agree
someone
with
to-
what's your name? Sorry.
Marcus? My name
Mark and Mansur, and you?
Yes.
Jess and Mark, you told us in this discussion you cannot have any evidence. There is no evidence. If you say there is no evidence, there cannot be any evidence, then can you say, I don't believe in a creator because of lack of evidence? Because you've already closed up your evidence portfolio saying there cannot be.
Believe in something that there's no evidence to believe in.
Because
Just to clarify that point too. If you already believe and have this conviction that there cannot be any evidence for a creator, and then when somebody asks you, why don't you believe, you say lack of evidence. Can you use that?
no, if someone brought sufficient evidence to me, I'd be like, okay.
No, for Mark,
Yeah,
not for you, because you didn't claim what Mark did.
No, he said there is no evidence, which I
Okay,
agree. At the
so
moment,
if-
currently, there's no
if-
evidence. If someone brought it, I'd look
Okay.
at it.
Have you
Sure.
heard, have you been spoken
Okay.
to? Have you been spoken to?
Okay, I want to understand Mark's position, right? And just your
It's not,
position.
there is no evidence to us. We don't believe in God. I don't know where you're
What
trying to get
type of evidence would convince you? Because when you say there's a lack
have
of
no
evidence.
idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
If you don't have any idea, then you cannot say lack of evidence, because evidence may be all around you and you don't know that this is the
Right,
evidence.
so I gotta believe in something
It's
just
in-
Well,
because.
that's you.
Isn't
That's
it?
you assigning things around you
No,
to
no, no,
fit
no.
the narrative you wish.
No.
That's not me.
That's not what I do. I haven't offered you any
All right,
evidence.
well, mate, I don't believe in God. You're not,
No,
you're
no,
not gonna
no, no.
get me to.
Just, I have not offered you any evidence whatsoever or counter evidence. I'm simply saying, if our position is that we don't believe in a creator because of lack of evidence, that automatically entails that evidence can be given and examined. Claims can be made, and those claims can be examined, see whether they actually fulfill the criteria of evidence, and then we accept it or reject it. Yeah? So what kind of evidence would convince us is important then, because if we don't believe in a creator on the basis,
First-hand evidence. First-hand
Yes.
of
evidence.
course, anything that is convincing has to be substantial. It's not going to be a superficial evidence. Substantial, convincing evidence. What type?
So we're arguing over evidence. Is it not just suitable for me to say there might be evidence all around, in your opinion or in anyone else's opinion, but I'm
But I
sorry, I don't
choose
believe
not
in
to
God,
believe it,
so
yeah.
I don't look for it. It's as simple as that.
No, I'm not saying.
Can I not? Is
I'm
that
not.
not okay?
I'm not saying. I'm
Is
not
that
saying
not
that.
okay?
I'm saying, if
You're
you
trying
have.
to define evidence for me.
I haven't-
I might
no, I'm
I
not
may be
defining.
wrong because there might be a God,
Just-
so I'm looking for the wrong evidence.
Just, I'm not defining anything.
That's what you're saying.
What I'm trying to establish that for you to make a meaningful statement that lack of evidence is the reason I disbelieve in a creator, is to then understand what would be a convincing evidence for you from your own perspective, which is
being talked
objective,
to,
not subjective to yourself
If I prayed
only.
to God and he spoke back to me like, yo, what's
Okay.
going on, Mark?
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Okay.
fair.
So
God's
if-
real.
Not
Okay.
like literally. You
Okay,
know,
so let's understand.
So
Same
I
Jess,
asked for
same
rain
Jess,
and then
been
it
like,
rained.
same
Okay.
Jess in intensive care. She's
Okay.
about dying. I was like, fuck it, I'll pray to God that please bring Jess alive. And all of a sudden Jess was cured.
Sure.
I wouldn't then be like, oh, it
Yeah,
must,
but
it must be
it's
God.
not
He
a
must
mistake.
have
I
touched the
wouldn't say
heart.
Let's she answered your question already. She won't accept that as an evidence.
I don't.
So you're coming up with types of evidence which you'd reject yourself.
You're bringing some sort of argument as if that's what we were disputing.
No,
We're
I'm
atheists.
saying
not trying to
the
talk
only
about
way
God.
we as
I don't
believers
know
in
what
a
you're trying to do.
creator, just the only way we as believers in a creator can offer you any evidence is when you understand that evidence is acceptable to you or not. What type of evidence is acceptable to you or not. If I say, for example, oh, the reason I believe in a creator because it changed my life, and you say, well, you read a book of Harry Potter and that can change your life.
I wouldn't
It
say
doesn't.
anything to you, mate, because you can believe what you want.
Yeah, I would.
That's
No,
why are you
no,
standing
no,
here
no.
trying to get me
No.
to understand your version
Yes,
of
yes.
evidence?
I am not
don't
offering
see it.
you
I don't-
any
I'm
version of
trying to
evidence.
find it. I'm fine the way I am.
It's-
I
that's
live my
not
life for me. I don't
that's-
need that.
that's-
I don't need
that-
that.
Yeah, I
I'm not
believe
looking
in
for it.
myself. I
So
believe-
please
You
stop
can-
asking me to look for sufficient evidence.
Jess and Mark, I'm not defining evidence for you.
No, but you are
I'm
kind of
trying to elicit from you what evidence
Why?
you are going to accept
Why?
if.
Why? What's your point? Why?
Okay,
Yeah, what's the message?
I'll tell you why.
I don't believe in God.
Okay,
Is that the message?
I'll tell you the reason why.
You
Are
know
you-
the message. Does
okay.
anyone else know the message here?
Okay,
It's lack of evidence. Now,
Yeah, but
he will
what's the
supply you
message?
the evidence once you give him your criteria. You said lack of evidence. Yeah?
I
Now,
would say,
what
yeah, but
kind
you
of
brought
evidence
this
you want?
discussion. I don't want any evidence.
so why
I
you
don't
said
want
lack of
anything
evidence?
from this
Why you
discussion.
use the word
I
evidence?
didn't ask this man to
You
discuss
brought the
with
word
me
evidence.
why
I didn't
God or
believe.
not.
He asked me why I
He
didn't
asked me
believe.
why I
You
don't believe
brought
God,
the
and now he's
word
trying to tell me
evidence
that
by saying
there could
lack
be
of evidence.
everywhere.
Well, that is the reason. I
Can you
don't
answer,
believe.
please? Have you said lack of evidence or not? Have you
I
said?
may have, yeah.
Okay. Question
You're
for
trying to
you.
catch me out on something, mate. I'm not
no,
fully
it's not about catching
prepared
out.
for this
Just,
debate.
this is not about catching
I'm
out.
not trying to debate this.
No, this is not about catching out. This is all just having a mutual understanding of each other. So at the end of the discussion, hopefully I'll learn something from you and something from you, and perhaps you learn something from us. That's all. That's only fair, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not here
Because-
to
No,
because-
we did come to sort of
No.
spectate. I came to listen
I
to this
cannot.
discussion. Now you're asking me why I don't.
No one can force anyone their belief. Belief system is something that we accept ourselves.
Yeah.
You cannot force me to believe in something, and I cannot force you to believe in something, right?
why
So
can't-
having that common ground, it's just a matter of sharing and understanding. You asked a very interesting question, because you're not interested, you don't want, you haven't been asking for evidence. Why am I offering one? Or why am I even interested in one? The reason why is because it's just what we call, like, if I'm a human being, human beings, we don't live isolated lives like individuals and that's it. I care only for myself. We care of others, that we value our companionship, friendship, overall humanity. For example, if Mark, for example, needed some help and there was no one around, I was the only one to help him. If I didn't help him and I had the ability to help him, what would that tell me about myself? I'm a very bad individual in every standard that you can think of. Morality, religion, no religion whatsoever. So when we are living in a society, we are living collectively. We need to live with compassion, mercy, kindness, generosity, justice. This is something that we generally, universally share. So if I consider in my belief system, in my conviction, that yes, this life is not the end of it. When we die, that's not the end of everything. There will be another life. There will be an accountability where I have to stand in front of my Creator who created me. And you likewise, everyone likewise, to say and to justify our belief and our actions. Did we rightly believe in what we're supposed to have believed and fulfill our purpose? Did we do all the right things, good things that we are supposed to have? And if we don't do it and we end up in a place of torment and torture, now I might be a person who says, yeah, so what if you go to hell? But look at it. That will be mean what? A selfish individual who doesn't care about the well-being of other human beings. So if I know that from my conviction, there is a hereafter, there is paradise and hellfire, place of happiness and a place of torture. And I know that people often don't think about it, and then they will live their life as they wish, and no one's going to change that if they don't want to. And they die, but ultimately in the hereafter they end up in a place